You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's WWE SmackDown After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's WWE SmackDown After Show.
Y'all know what it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
new music.
I like this.
All your obstacles, know what I mean?
Wow.
No matter what the options are.
Is that yours, Steve?
I don't know. It says SmackDown, man.
Wow.
Get up and dance on the table.
Yeah.
We can
Well, let me do this intro. I want to say I'm Ric Drasin. Welcome to SmackDown After Show. We have a full house here today. We got porn stars and wrestlers.
Where are they?
And I'm really happy to have somebody here who I've talked to for quite a while online. We finally came face to face, and he's a legend in wrestling. He had a wrestling school for years. He travels around to seminars. His hometown, Cincinnati, and he made his first debut July 4th, 1960, in the ring with Ronnie Hill. See, I do my homework.
You did?
And,
You did?
And he does a program with Doc Young, or did one, called Wrestling Weekly from 2005 to 2008. And he appeared on the MTV series True Life called I Am a Pro Wrestler, and also produced the World Wrestling Federation's first color magazine in 1978. And it's really my honor to have Les Thatcher here with us. It's just
Nice.
Wow, thank you. I'd stand up, but then the wires would choke me to death. And
I have to tell you that I got so thrilled saying that my nipples just got really hard.
I want to change seats with somebody here.
So anyway, we also have Patricia Summerland sitting across from me,
Hi,
who
everyone.
usually sits next to me and grabs my
Yes.
ass. Tonight you can
But it's
grab-
your turn, Les.
Oh, thank you.
But I think he can give you a chokehold.
You don't see his left hand, do you? It's there.
Can I do the show like this? Is that all?
And Shannon Ballard.
Hey, hello.
And then we have Shane.
Hey, we're on the couch today.
And then we have Les. Les is how do we introduce him?
He's my boss.
He's Les's boss, David, and he's the one that signs the checks.
That's right. President of Wrestling Cares.
And he has a haircut like mine.
That's right. And the one man to break up the Ballard brothers, apparently.
Yeah.
Usually over there.
Was there an affair going on here?
Yeah, maybe.
Actually, it looks like we're a lot closer, but there are pillows separated. So.
Well, look at it this way. You get one coming and going. So anyway, we're gonna go through SmackDown today because it was actually a short show. It only had like 4 matches.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so for all of you watching, we're going to go through, give our critique on it. I'm sure Les has a lot of things to say about it, as I do. And sometimes favorable, sometimes not real favorable, but that's our opinion, and you're going to have to live with it.
Yes.
The other thing is, after we do the SmackDown review, we're going to have some extra time dedicated to talk to Les about wrestling, because he's a pioneer, he's a legend, he's been around a long time, he trains people to become superstars, and I want to hear his input and views on those as well, because I have mine. I think we kind of parallel the same way. You and I have talked, and we've talked about how we think alike.
Well, and you gave me $100 for the show starts, so I think any way you want me to thank you.
I gave you that much?
You did.
Where's my change?
Your mathematics are not strong when you counted the bills.
He thought it was $1.
Nobody said I was that great with numbers, right? All right, so let's start this off. We had your favorite guy, Fandango.
Oh, yes. Fandango.
No. You're not saying it right.
Well, I won't either. Say it for me.
It's Fandango.
Now your nipples got hard, right? Okay. Against Santino. And I made a note and it said, "Are you kidding me?" Well, you know, my thing about this guy, first of all, Jericho carried him on, on Mania. I mean, if you guys saw it, I mean, the average fan probably didn't, but Chris drug him along by the heels, said, "Could you please be part of this match?" And he actually has had a match on television until this one, which, I don't know, to me it kind of denotes that behind the scenes they're not as high on him today as they were 2 months ago.
Right.
You know? I mean, Santino's not a guy. I mean, when was the last time he beat anybody?
Nah, that's true.
You know, so
I think 2011 maybe.
and this was more a cartoon match than it could have been. I mean,
was a
which
cartoon match.
to me is not the way I'd
Absolutely.
want to open my show.
Right.
You know?
Well, I think WWE also, because Fandango's his
You are going to say it the right
Yes,
way, aren't you?
I am.
Are you a member of his fan club?
Yeah.
Tell me the truth.
Fandango.
He's got one of his shirts at home.
that
Oh
song,
my God!
What are you gonna do?
that song right now is like trending. That's
is.
why he's so popular. Is now they're calling it fandangoing, I guess, and
Yeah.
people on buses and everything are doing it. So I think that's why they gave him such a long entrance. His entrance was probably longer than his match.
I have that on my iTunes.
A lot of people do.
I'm sure.
I know I don't want to sit next to him now. It's like,
Actually, I think that they're trying to cash in on the Gangnam Style and the Harlem Shake popularity that swept YouTube, and I think they're trying to cash in on that with the fandangoing.
Yeah.
So.
It could be. And a little bit of that Dancing with the Stars plug, the WWE Maria Menounos. We love you. Got to mention that.
But you know, I don't
It's on
think
AfterBuzz.
you watch the guy. Rick and I were talking before the show. He's not smooth, whether it's his dance moves or his work.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
very robotic.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, they taught him to do certain things, and this is what you do. You know, it's just
Right.
Yeah.
The WWE, they make mistakes often where it's like if they were to keep him pretty much like don't give us so much of him. Now they're giving us like a whole bunch of him because like his song is trending and he's getting popular. But the reason why he's getting popular is because he's like kind of like a cult icon, I guess. Well, not really, but you know, he's got that sort of appeal to him. But now they're trying to make him mainstream, and it's just going to blow everything, I think.
Yeah. Well, you know, the whole thing was him coming out and then about the way you say my name and so forth, and then. To me, if this is the gimmick, then when this guy hits the ring and actually has a match, is where he should really shine.
Yeah.
And he hasn't.
Yeah, he has not.
No.
No.
His matches have been subpar. I mean, his entrances are much better than his matches, unfortunately.
Yeah. Once the bell ring is over, right?
The dance is the finish. That's it.
Yeah.
It's the opening and the finish. Yeah, the match
that's
was
his
it was a cartoon match.
Yeah.
He had an awkward cravat in there, too, if you saw that when he was trying to do the cravat for the rest hold. Very awkward. His neck wasn't even bent. His neck was straight when he gave him the, that's not a cravat. A cravat is when you twist their neck.
Yeah.
So
You want to do it on
awkward.
David?
I'll buy a ticket for that. Go ahead.
He's a lot like, there's a worker named Frankie Kazarian. He reminds us a lot of Frankie. He's even using his finisher now, which is, well, everybody's using it. It's called the roll of the dice. That's like his finisher.
Just saw Frankie in Vegas at CAC. You don't like Frankie? Is that why you say Fandango? Frankie, it's all right. I still like him.
No, but we've been on the road with Frankie for a long, very good friend, like one of our friends that go outside of wrestling.
I remember when he started.
Yeah.
We shared a bed with him.
Yeah.
Like friends with benefits? Oh,
Is this that kind of show?
Wow.
Shane, you share a bed with anybody.
This is the real world of wrestling, guys.
David's next.
He's already shared a couch. Yeah.
With his legs crossed.
So yeah, it's kind of it was just a filler type match, an undercard match that really not very good. Like just on the fence, very very subpar. Like
This is a time filler.
That glove gets me with the Cobra, though. I mean, it's
Yeah, he's
just,
got that.
it's comical. Yeah, I'm sure.
He's got it.
You do? I missed it.
You'll see in a minute.
yeah, it is in Cobra. Isn't it?
How about the dip with Lillian?
We had what did you? There's a promo afterwards with Booker T and Teddy Long, and they're kind of teasing the split between the two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a match you want to see?
I still remember when Teddy Long was a referee way back in the
Sure. I
days.
know. When Teddy was working in the Atlanta office when I was running the tours for Georgia WCW up in Ohio, Michigan, and West Virginia back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
Something's cooking.
Yeah.
You smell that?
Yeah.
Something's cooking.
Yeah.
Can you smell what?
Do you think that, in your estimation of Teddy Long, does he look like a stretched out Gary Coleman?
Okay.
It was basically a Big Show just thanked them for, well, mainly thanked Teddy Long for giving him a tag team partner tonight, which the main event was already set up in the like when in the show's intro before the show started.
Yeah.
So
that's when they set it up, not weeks before.
No, not weeks before. In the intro.
Does that get old to you guys?
Yes.
Besides for me?
Yes. Yeah, we talk about that every week.
Every week.
Yeah, it's like the Dodgers coming on the field and saying, "Okay, tonight you're going to play," right? And it's like the secret team is right, whoever.
Well,
the Washington Generals.
Yeah, around here we call them the Doyers. They're called the Doyers.
I've been a Dodger fan since Brooklyn.
Why do they do that? I mean, we obviously know that they already have this thing. They got a lot of money in this show. They're going to make the match the last minute.
Well, and it would make it look more actually legitimate and professional if they come to, like when I was doing, tonight on the show, so and so wrestle so and so. Stay tuned. Great lineup. Blah blah blah. That's because it only makes sense, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like we talk a lot about, us and Rick, we used to do the old school. We would always talk about the difference between old school and now. And
thank God for old school.
Yeah, old school. Nice. The wrestlers, they had such a talent. They made the storylines happen to where now they have writers writing storylines for people, but the workers back then made the storylines.
Well, it's like you go into a restaurant and you see the menu. You know what's on the menu for that night.
Popcorn.
Right? Sure.
Yeah.
Popcorn.
But then they give you a blank page like this, and they say, "Okay."
Out there.
Wait, I'm speaking now, if you don't mind. They give you a blank page like this. Say, "Okay, we're going to write the menu down for you right now. You can pick what you want."
Right. Well, the cook just said tonight he's going to make, and you can have that if you hurry up and order. Right? Yeah. But you know that, and the opening with a 11-minute monologue.
Oh, forget that.
You think they would change it, and actually, what's old is new now.
Right.
Again, open with the here's who's on the show tonight, blah 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 blah, and let's go to the ring, boom, and give them a good, not Fandango and Santino.
It's a formula, and they continue to follow. They think this formula is working, so they follow this formula of 15-minute intro to set up the rest of the show. As people that have been watching it for a while, it doesn't work.
Now, you and your brother get around and do some of the indie shows, and when I'm out doing camps and stuff, it scares me to see the indies following what they see on television, which is the place where you should actually learn to work, not be a clown or a showman, right?
Indies do not need storylines. They think they have to have these stories. They just need matches. Good matches.
They do the same thing too. Like, okay, I'm going to wrestle you tonight. I want to, okay, the promoter comes out. It's like excuse me, I'm getting nauseated from talking.
I think he's allergic to me.
But the problem is, and I tell indie promoters this, it's Halloween. The little Johnny is pretending to be so and so from. It's just a bad copy. And it's better still to give them an alternative where the guys can actually learn to work and not just be showmen or do the highlight bumps.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Everybody wants to do these either like 6-minute TV matches now, or they want to do these like WrestleMania style matches where they kick out of everything, including getting shot with a gun.
Yes.
Were you at the MPW show last week?
No, I didn't get to make it.
Well, I went, and I sat there and watched a couple of matches. And it was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like really crazy.
Yeah.
Not on your match.
So many runs.
Well, maybe. Maybe it was yours.
No, we weren't at that.
They weren't there.
Oh, you weren't.
But they had so many run-ins, and they had the distraction around 3 guys coming here and 3 over there and running over there, and it's like, what's going on?
Nobody remembers that. Nobody. A month away when you don't have like TV, nobody remembers what happened the month or the year before. It's ridiculous.
And everybody wants a mic.
Right.
And nobody's got anything to say. Right.
Right. I mean, they're like when we're given time, sometimes we don't even lock up for 10 minutes. That's how you get heat. But if you go out there and they just do spot, it's like it's a lost art.
Thank you.
Nowadays,
you're absolutely right.
We were saying something. We said this several times on the show. People watch wrestling. They don't know what the idea of the match is. It's like a purse with boxing. You wrestle a match, and if you win, you get money. This is what you should be able to do.
It's competitive. It's supposed to be, absolutely.
If you don't win, you lose. And then we were saying, well, they should do a little gimmick where people win, they have a paymaster up there and say, I won this match, and this is what I get, and you get your pay and you walk away. And make it believable that this is what happens, because otherwise there's no reason to be out there.
Right, exactly. Well, a good wrestling match is like good sex. It begins with foreplay and builds to a climax.
Exactly, yeah.
And everyone here's had good sex. Well, raise your hand if you haven't.
And if you're really good, you can get a lot of kickouts out of it.
I had foreplay with 2 people in a 3-way light bulb.
Can I change spots?
Well, anyway, the difference is, if I may talk about Lillian Garcia and speak, she was included on this with Fandango, at least.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Oh, she got insulted.
Yeah, she was
Very,
insulted.
very.
And of all the people to defend her honor,
Yeah, Santino.
a guy who hasn't won a match since he was in 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you put it that way,
Yeah.
you're right. Absolutely. All right, let's go on.
Yeah. Next,
Kofi?
Next match.
Yeah.
Ann versus Wade Barrett.
Yeah.
Wade Barrett's just not doing. He's still not doing it for me. Although he does get his hands up more now, like a boxer.
I just don't.
Bare knuckle boxer.
To always be on protecting yourself, right? I hate to see these guys walk around with their arms at their sides, and I'm thinking, in a real fight, if you did that, the fight wouldn't last very long, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I don't know. He just doesn't do it for me. I've tried to get into that, but
you know, I think Barrett's got the look to be. Of course, to be a top guy, you got to be used in a certain way. You got to work with the right people. I had a chance to work with Kofi, who had just been training 6 months. He came with a group of kids from Boston down to North Carolina, where Steamboat and Tommy Pritchard and I were doing a camp, and we were all impressed with him in the short time that he had worked. But you know, going back to the territory days, he would have been a great mid-card babyface for, say, a grizzled veteran babyface as a tag team.
Yeah.
And Kofi's the guy we called the white meat babyface that did the selling and set up the hot tag. Everybody saw Kofi. He's a great acrobat.
Yes, he is.
Very.
But if you put him in the main event on a pay-per-view, he's not going to draw you any money. I mean, and that's not an insult. It's just, you know, it's like being a specialist on a football team, right? I mean,
he doesn't know when and what, like he's not like that Triple H where he knows when, or Undertaker, he knows when and where to do what and make the story last and go a lot, like you know, he's basically exactly what you said. He's there for the acrobatics, but it's like after you take the acrobatics away, what else does he have to work with?
Exactly.
Nothing. But he is a good acrobat.
Yeah, very good.
He's phenomenal.
He's a good talent too, but he doesn't have the ability to be a main eventer yet.
And that's what the writers don't understand, because they have not. And of course, a lot of people say, "Well, you mean you think I have to be in this business to actually understand it?" Well, maybe that would be a good start, wouldn't it? You know? But I mean, you know, you can read and watch and get a grasp. But like you guys, or those of us who have worked in the ring, those people who think they're they don't understand ring placement, timing, pacing.
Right.
You mentioned Undertaker, and I tell some kids, this is the best worker on that roster, because Mark over the years has disguised what he doesn't do well, pushes what he does, but psychology, timing, pacing, he's a master at all that, right?
Right. A lot of people don't have the ability to carry people, and a lot of times people that do, they get relegated to being enhancement talent, where you don't even get to see their, you know, like they don't get to be in the main events.
Right.
You know, and Undertaker has such a, you know, he has a great gimmick, and he's a great worker. He elevated himself to where he put himself in that main event. He'll never come off it.
You remember Leo Garibaldi?
Oh,
right?
sure.
Leo told me years ago, he said, "Kid, you're a hell of a worker." And I said, "Gee, thank you, Mr. Garibaldi." He said, "That's the good news. The bad news is you're going to do a lot of jobs, because there's a lot of guys in this business that can't work." But, you know, again, back in those days, you just, you know, you had to be the utility guy. You worked on top in one territory, middle of the card somewhere else.
That's how it worked.
And now there is no designation, you know.
Yeah.
I worked for Leo here at the Olympic Auditorium when he was a booker for a couple of years. Great guy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I kept me working every night, you know, doing the job, doing what I had to do. You know, it was just perfect. And,
Fabulous mind, fabulous booker, I think.
Yes, he was. He had a brother.
He had a father.
And probably a sister.
The Garibaldis I remember as a kid was Leo and Gino, his father and son team.
His father and son, okay.
Yeah, and then Chick was his uncle. But all three of them wrestled. But that's where I first saw Leo. Was from the old.
So it was the father and son team.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I thought
from the old Olympic Auditorium back in the Kinescope days of television. That he and his dad.
With Dick Lane and Jimmy Lennon.
Yeah. He's hotter than a $2 pistol.
Remember this?
Sure.
You know, Mulholland Drive up here in LA, I don't know if you know, but that's the place where all the couples go and park and make out.
I've heard of that.
They changed the name from Mulholland Drive to Dick Lane.
And there is a reason you're not doing stand-up.
Exactly. I Because I'm sitting down with you.
Kofi did do a good job selling around the ring, though. That's one thing you don't see. He was selling around the entire
Active
ring.
selling,
Yeah, and instead of some guys will just sell in one corner or one area, he did a pretty good job with that, I thought, in the match.
A couple good kicks to the side of the face, to Wade's face. Yeah,
he's got
he was
great
making
kicks.
some good,
You know, I think he's losing weight, honestly.
Kofi?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
he does look a little summer.
the tours are taking their toll on
Yeah.
him, I think, weight-wise. He can't afford to get a lot smaller.
I was looking at his pecs. He's got like, it's just flat. There's nothing
he's
there.
got like Chris Jericho.
His
It's like
chest is
Jericho, same
concave.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a pirate's dream
Yeah.
because he got a sunken chest.
Oh, wow, that's a good one. All right.
Another stand-up.
He's learning.
Me and Rick are
Oh,
going to be
my.
appearing at the comedy club this Friday. There was a Russian leg sweep that looked awkward. That I don't think Wade Barrett knew it was coming, so he didn't really bump on it. Little botchy there, but I mean, nothing like.
Would you say that on a Russian leg sweep they should always hook the ankle?
Sure.
I see them many times.
Come,
on hook the ankle.
come in, maybe start mid-calf for now, but then come down.
I see so many people not hook it, including Cena.
Yeah, I know. Cena
Well,
does that a lot.
if you're looking for technical excellence there, you're not going to find it.
One good thing I did see in the match, and this is something that we talk about a lot, is Barrett gave him a headbutt and then sold it.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, which is good. And you don't see that very often.
That's good.
That's something that should be
What's
done.
your views on headbutts?
So you got the same good
If you know that back in the day, that was the brothers, right?
Exactly.
Everybody had a headbutt.
Like a Bobo Brazil cocoa butt.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of that stuff. Again, we were talking about what's old is new. If somebody came back and knew how to do it properly, and if it were sold properly, but the problem with finishers now is he's doing my finisher as a kick, as a high spot, right? As a false finish, and yours and hers and everybody else's, right?
Exactly.
I saw Jake the Snake. We were on a card with him. Punch a kid, like literally right in the face. These local kids were the first match, and they did a DDT to set up for something, and Jake was in the finish and in the main event, and that was the finish. When the kid came back to the curtain, he punched him right in the face.
Yeah. Well, I'll use the Carolinas as an example. They had like 50 guys on a roster, right? But if you went into the Charlotte office, what do you use for a finish? And, okay, now Johnny Weaver uses sleeper, so you don't even get close to a sleeper, and so uses this and that. Nobody ever used anybody else's finisher because that way when Weaver hooked a sleeper, people started putting their coats on. They knew it was time to go home.
Yeah.
But they've gotten away. Those little details are what made things work. And that's what's not making things work now is there's no eye for detail.
Exactly. We've talked about that so many times.
Yeah, several times.
Sure.
And they're not changing it. You didn't listen to us anymore.
I think the finish looked like it was botched, too. It looked
Why
like
do you
it
sound
was
like
little bit.
Why do you sound like you're in the bathroom down the hall?
Actually, I am.
Your voice right down the hall.
It's a microphone.
How's that? That's better.
It was a counter from like he had him in the crucifix, and then Wade Barrett pretty much gave him like a modified Samoan drop, and then covered him, and then Kofi rolled him up, like countered it and rolled him up. And I kind of liked it because it kind of told the story of like anyone can win on any given night if you take someone lightly. I think that's the story they're trying to tell.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the way you took it, which is good.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
Took
good.
it lightly.
But when you put two, and these guys are two, of course, championships don't mean that much anymore.
Yeah,
but that's because they don't make them mean anything.
Right.
You've got two title holders against one another, and it's just another match.
Right.
Right? Which, again, part of that comes back to the announcers.
Yeah.
Right? The commentary team, it's up to them to add something to the Ross, and why he's on a pre-show or post-game show is beyond my recognition, because Jim could turn, chicken into chicken salad. I mean, he could, and you don't have anybody who can do that anymore.
No, I honestly, I don't even know who the champs are anymore.
I don't either.
Cena's one of them, and I know Ziggler's one. Tag champs, I think, are Daniel Bryan and
I don't know. Years ago, they had one champ.
Right.
Yeah.
You know who it was.
That's the way it was with us too.
Yeah,
There was always one carrying.
One champ. That's it. Now there's everybody's a champ.
Right.
Yeah, it is. It's a joke.
When Kerry Von Erich beat Ric Flair back when they're the territories for the NWA title, I mean, that was big news. That was before the internet and everything could spread like that. I mean, wrestling magazines would print it, and it was on like different TV stations. Because when we were young, we could wake up in the morning on Saturdays and watch wrestling from 5 a.m. all the way to like 11 p.m.
Really?
In all the territories, yeah. But you know, like nowadays, it's not such a big deal, so no one really cares.
You're right,
Beating
and
a
they switch them so often too. I remember back when Thez had been the world champion 3 times, and that was a huge, huge deal.
Right.
Now, well, like Kofi's, how long's he been in WWE now actively? 7 years, 6 years, something? 13 times this champion. And oh, my God.
Exactly.
You know, it's, and you're right, the more they switch it, the quicker they switch it, the less it's going to mean.
Yeah. It's flooded. It's too much. It's like a kid in a candy store. How much candy? What's after that?
We had a small little, well, we had a Mark Henry backstage interview. The girl's name is Renee Young. I don't know where they got her from, but I did the research. And
Did you
the
from
girl,
the last show?
Yeah, her name is Renee Young.
The interviewer?
Yes.
She was co-hosting Ardo Cal's show with him up in Canada, because he was at CAC, and we were talking about that, and yeah, they hired her from doing the show with him.
Oh, wow. Well, that's good. Yeah, so, and then he got attacked by Sheamus because Mark Henry's already attacked Sheamus twice, so he kind of got, as my brother would say,
his comeuppance.
Yes.
Come on.
And that was it. Very short thing that led, and then we had our third match, which was Alberto Del Rio.
There you go. And Swagger.
Okay. What's your views on that?
You know, I like Del Rio's work as a babyface better than I did as a heel, but the whole gimmick of all, you know, he came to us as a wealthy Mexican looking down his nose at everybody American. Yeah. Now all of a sudden he's Pledge of Allegiance, and which turns a large percentage of the viewing audience against him anyway. But you know, they pushed Swagger the one time and put the belt on him, and it didn't fly. Right. But I think this three-way is I don't, titles in three-ways don't mix from, and the three-ways
do that often too.
Yeah, and well, if you guys have ever worked a three-way, how many different ways are there to work it? One, right? I throw you out and you oversell it dramatically while your brother and I work it, and then you pull me off, throw me out. Yeah, exactly.
There's a formula for that.
There is, and it doesn't change, does it?
No.
Whether it's on the worst indie in the world or on Raw, you know, it doesn't make a difference. I don't know. You know, I was told, well, Ziggler lost on Raw last Monday. I didn't see it because I was in Vegas at the convention, but somebody said, well, the reason they beat him with all these different guys was to set him, you know, then he'd have feuds. But, you know, years ago when you were young and I was younger, you know, like, for example, if they knew they were going to put the NWA world title on Dory, right, he might work a territory and a guy would slip over him, you know, I mean, steal it basically, because that way next year he comes back with the title and they say, well, this guy has got one win over the guy who's now the champion. But Dory didn't lose to 57 guys, right, in succession, and then they put the belt on him, and then the very next week on television he loses again.
Yeah.
What's the logic? Or
there's you've got like just out of college or kids in college riding that have never been in a ring or they don't know, so they're more worried about the soap opera part of it rather than what makes sense in the wins and the losses. And it's like, and that really kills the wrestling part of wrestling, because now it's more entertainment than it is wrestling.
Well, they don't even try to suspend your disbelief in any way, shape, or form. Or, you know, watching good Justified. You guys ever watch Justified? Yeah. Is it a great show? Or is it great? Or, you know, when they're bringing Dallas back, I'd seen the original and I wasn't sure, but after, damn JR, he's still the SOB, he always was, right? But they give you a reason to come back next week. Yes. And these young writers don't even give you that. They send, I mean, it was like when Punk got the urn, and okay, so I thought, okay, Percy, you passed away at the right time. You put teeth in the storyline. But then before that show was over, they had Kane beat Punk, which basically killed the heat that they built at the beginning of the show, right? Just,
and then you got Punk going in there against Taker as one of the main events of WrestleMania. And Punk already has a loss before he even got there.
Yeah, sure. And let's face it, if anybody deserves to go out without putting somebody over, it's Mark. He's done so much for that company. And you knew Punk was going to lose there. I mean, I can't believe that there were even odds. I mean, there weren't odds in Vegas, but they had been. They would have all been in Taker's favor, for God's sakes.
Yep. Okay, so we're going on to this,
Well, about that match, one thing about Del Rio that I wrote down that I liked was he does very well at selling the leg even on his offense, and a lot of people forget that. A lot of people when they go on the offense, they forget that their leg hurts. But Del Rio, like, he would do a little spot and then do a leapfrog and then just sell the leg. Very, very good. Like, he's a very good worker. I'm not high on his mic skills, but as far as work goes.
Yeah, but that was standard operating procedure back in the days. It was to sell throughout the match.
Sure, absolutely.
Not to forget about it and do something else, because that's what made the match work.
And now you can suplex a guy from the balcony, and he'll jump up and beat you with 2 hurricanranas, right?
Yeah, you got to shoot somebody, literally shoot him and put him on fire.
It's like those cartoons where they get run over with the steamroller and they're flat and they pop back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too bad, because it takes away from it. It certainly does.
Well, in a good finishing sequence, we had Alberto Del Rio as the winner. I thought that sequence kind of, it flowed nicely, the little finishing sequence.
The way he put Ziggler over for the title, too, they didn't just do it, but you thought a couple times that actually Del Rio was going to hang on to that belt, and he might get Ziggler to submit to the armbar.
Yeah.
But isn't that part of what this is all about anyway?
Yeah.
And I tell a lot of young guys now, with virtually every fan smart to varying degrees, surprise is your strongest weapon.
Exactly.
Instead of telegraphing a week out what you're going to do, right? Or doing the same thing in every match. That's
That's one of the things we mentioned before. Is like Del Rio has that really sweet kick that he does when the guy's on his knee, but he's never won with that. So people don't believe that that's going to be a finish because he's never went over with it.
Yeah.
So everybody knows they're going to either kick out or grab the ropes or whatever. But I mean, it's really sweet the way he does it. He gets a really loud sound with that, but never went over with it though.
No.
We have to move on because we have an interview with him too.
Yep.
So we have to go to the last match.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to bypass the Kali,
I know.
Hornswoggle Natalia match? You want to actually bypass that?
Yeah.
I mean that was like a main. That was a main event in itself, right there. And the setup for the match was because of the
a parking spot.
I mean, how? And then you've got Kali and a little Fiat.
And you can't wait till tune in next week to see the return, right?
Exactly.
Oh, I know.
I want to see how he got in and out of that car.
That's true. I know. That was amazing at Fiat.
To me, if you're trying to add any quality to your product, and I don't know this man, I have no axe to grind, but he shouldn't even be in the ring.
No.
I mean, he's an oddity because of his size. He can barely walk, and he is not coordinated.
Yeah, he looks uncomfortable in there.
Yeah.
Like he could just fall at any minute.
It does sometimes.
But he still does have great strength, and what he has, he is the great Kali. After all,
Are you and he having an affair?
Do you know why? Because I love Andre the Giant. I guess everybody would agree
Andre
with me.
too, but this is
there's similarities, and I guess that's why they're keeping him in that aspect.
They're both giants.
They're gentle.
That's the only similarity.
That would be it. Oh yeah.
They both
I worked shows with Andre, and I mean Andre was far more mobile. Before Andre got all stoved up, it's when a lot of people saw him at WrestleMania 3 and so forth, but before that, back in the 70s and early 80s, he was quite mobile for a big guy. He moved really well.
That's when I was blessed to meet him and work with him, West Glow Girls.
When you were 10. Right?
Right, sure. But he was the greatest. But yeah, I think just the size, that would be it. Yeah, he doesn't do anything half of what Andre. Oh, no. Go ahead.
Everyone's looking at me.
I'm waiting for you to jump in.
Henry and Joe.
Go ahead.
Because you brought that up. So
yeah.
I was just going to say, okay, so if you want to skip to the main event, me personally, it was surprisingly good for who was in there.
I said the same thing to David when we watched it. I said I was surprised the match was that good.
Yeah, I thought Big Show and Mark Henry actually did well as a team.
They did do well.
Yeah,
they were a good tag team.
But the one thing too, and I said to David, is the more they put Show in a situation like that, they humanize him and take away this. I mean, the special thing about his power and
his size,
magnificent size.
Exactly.
But it was a very, very good match.
Yeah.
I mean, it had psychology to it, and they worked it well.
And they both worked good as teams.
Yeah.
It was good. And the winner was Big Show and Mark Henry. Big Show with the choke slam.
Big Henry and Mark Show.
And it was like the story they told was it was just they were just too big. Like nothing they did them together. Nothing the Orton or Sheamus did could
like
take him down.
With the partner, that Show could he could take him out.
Right.
But when he didn't have his partner, so this is all that Teddy Long's fault for getting him a partner. Otherwise, this wouldn't have happened.
Are you mad at Teddy Long now?
I am.
Poor little Teddy.
That was it.
Yeah, I did good. I didn't. I wasn't long in the tooth.
Well, it was a short show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
How would you rate it?
Not very well. Below. See, I would say about a 3.5 to 4.
Yeah.
It becomes a blur after a while. I mean, really, each show should take you to the next show, but they don't do that anymore either. They just throw things out there and hope that somebody gets excited about it, I think. But,
You think the fans still get excited?
I think they've got a core audience they're going to have regardless of what they do. But if you look back at the Monday Night Wars, there were times that the two shows combined did like a 12, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now a 3-4 is a big deal. Where did the rest of those numbers go? A lot of those people are, I think some of them are UFC fans, but I think some of them, were, I think WCW was the alternative to the clown show, right? And with good solid work and the mid-card guys. And they don't have that. I mean, you've got some Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan or whatever, Jericho can go, but how many guys on that roster can actually go out there and carry a match 30 minutes?
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to figure, look at what the competition is. A lot of times you're only as good as your competition is because they will push you to be better. And TNA, they're just like, I don't know. I mean, they're not even getting a one share, but everything's just so jumbled. There's no, they don't do it right. They try to fit everything into they're trying to fit a triangle into a box, and it's just not working.
Yeah. When you make Adam Pearce do gut check,
then
you're not paying attention.
Right.
I mean, whether it's an angle or not an angle, I don't know. But I still think it's insulting to him.
Yeah. He's been around for a long time. We've had some wars with Adam Pearce over the years, and he's a phenomenal worker.
Yeah.
Great on the mic. He's got everything you need to put on your television program, especially if you're like a TNA that wants to compete with a WWE. He's got all the skills that would be like, this is the heel that everybody wants to see, wants to see get beat up.
I've had people ask me, when he was the NWA champion, would he fit back in the 70s? I said, absolutely, without missing a beat, he would. We cut some promos in Vegas for a tournament that we're having, a race for the ring. And I'd never done that with Adam before, right? And I'd just like to have a conversation, but I would pitch him a question. I could go sleep, and Adam would just, I said, this is like working with Lawler or Cornette, as a host, because I just give you an idea and you go, man. He's good. He's very good.
How'd you rate it?
All right. I'm going to go 4.2 on the Richter scale.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gave it a C- this week.
Okay,
oh.
A little different.
Wow.
I'll go, all right, that's C-.
It's below sea level. It's underwater.
The Del Rio Swagger match was really the only positive thing, I thought, because they gave him time, and they went, and they worked really well with their counters and the feud they're having. Other than that, just everything else was kind of forgettable.
All right.
Well, Rick, what would you rate it?
I think it's a 3.
A 3? Wow.
I like
Out
that
of
they took my parking idea from downtown.
The commercials were decent. Let's talk about your show you have coming up.
Okay. WrestlingCares.com for anybody that's, you can pick up all the information, but we think it's unique. It was actually David's idea. David is here, by the way. He's falling asleep over the corner.
Hi, David.
He's on camera over there.
We see you.
Yeah, I'm just letting the wrestling experts talk wrestling before I get started.
I have the promo if you want me to play it out real quick.
Cool, yeah.
Sure.
Where'd that voice come from?
I know.
Stout Steve in the control room.
Oh, here we go.
So why don't you kind of explain like what is the race for the?
What'd you say, Steve?
I know that was all. Yeah.
Well, it's a year-long tournament, and the name of the company, Wrestling Cares, belies the fact that each one of the events will be for a different charity.
Nice.
25% of all ticket sales go to a different charity.
This first one is for the Scott L. Schwartz Children's Foundation.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, and of course, Scotty, for those who don't know, is an ex-wrestler and a L.A. County Sheriff, and which we got to be nice to him anyway.
You should also throw in the Ric Drasin Relief Fund.
Yeah, sure.
It would be a relief for me to have some of that.
But I think the difference here, and honestly, this started out as David's idea, and he contacted me. It's been over a year ago, and we started, working toward this. Each match will be 10 minutes. We will have a scoreboard and a clock visible for the wrestlers and the fans in the building. And if you score a pinfall, submission, or count out, you get a point. At the end of the 10 minutes, the wrestler with the most points advances to the next round. If they're tied in points, there's a 3-minute sudden death. If nobody scores a point in a sudden death, then both wrestlers are eliminated, and an alternate moves into the next round.
Nice.
And so they'll all be 10 minutes until we get down to the semifinals, which will be 20, and the finals will be 30 minutes.
How many matches do you have?
Well, on this is bracket A. We got 32 guys altogether. This is bracket A, so it'll be 8 matches.
8 matches.
And then June the 29th, eight more in the B bracket. But the main thing is we want to make it about time and a competition, right? Ron Hutchison said in Vegas over the weekend, he said, I don't know what sports entertainment is. He said, I've been training a wrestler for 30 years, and I have no clue. Well, we want it to be more about getting the fans emotionally involved opposed to waving at them and that sort of thing. More about wrestling.
Right.
Not about how many times you can dive through the ropes or over the ropes.
And playing into what you were saying before, Les, is the other thing we want to focus on is that the stories are told in the ring. We are an indie company, but we're an indie company that focuses on in-ring action. We don't want to have microphone general managers telling stories and setting up matches at the last second.
Yeah.
And also, the coolest thing, I think, about the tournament, aside from the fact that every show is for charity, is if you notice from the promo, we advertise the fact that we've collected the top indie guys from each specific, notable independent companies.
They each one represent their home promotion.
One as a home promotion, sort of like teams. So the way the brainchild of this is sort of like the March Madness of independent wrestling.
Nice.
Yeah.
How exciting. It's downtown, right next to me.
I'm excited about it.
I want to go.
And the thing of it is,
right there.
I've told everybody, some of these names, obviously, you recognize immediately. And the ones that you don't are as technically sound as the ones that you do. These are guys that I've worked with in training camps or, have watched them grow and had a chance to watch their matches. And that's what we're looking for is takedown switches, build a story that way. It's not about how many bumps you can take, but and with putting the clock back on it, then I think it gets more creative in that respect as well.
It becomes a competition again.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And of course, the fact that the beautiful Maria is going to be the hostess with the mostest.
The actual best part is that Maria will be there. Yes.
She gets the biggest plug.
Of that they can,
sure. Yeah, right here.
You, Steve, do you have that?
Yeah, I can see it.
Cool.
Perfect.
Cool.
No, Steve, do you have a poster of that you can put on the screen?
Not at the moment.
Well, after this.
Oh, you can see it. You can see it.
Okay,
as long as you can see it.
Right now, no.
That's nice.
But we want to make this an annual affair. We want to make it something special. That people want to be. Well, it's a Super 8 on the East Coast, right? It's been running 16 years or something like that, and guys identify with it. So we'd like to make this, the very same thing. We've got Bobby Sharp coming down.
Nice.
I saw him in Edmonton at a camp last September. I said, "Wow, who's been hiding this guy?" Right? I mean, he's a hell of a talent. And so and this year we're going to do the same thing. As I do camps, David will come along and we'll meet some guys, and we're hoping to explore. Like some of these guys have never been on the West Coast, but they're tremendous performers, right? So this gives them maybe a bigger stage to be seen on and move up.
Right.
Sounds really, really good.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of talent on there too.
Yeah.
David Richards,
Yeah, some
we
good
wrestled B.J. Whitmer like when 2003.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, way back when. I didn't even know.
BJ's one of my babies.
Wow.
He started
Yeah,
with
he
me.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Charlie Haas, another guy we worked.
Yeah.
He started with you too. Yeah.
Is he still around?
He just quit.
Just retired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Impromptu.
Yeah. Well, Pepper Parks and Carl Anderson started with us too.
Oh yeah.
You worked with
We
Carl.
worked that, yeah.
I was trying to get him for the tournament, but all the dates conflicted with his Japan.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about great matches. Have you seen the match with him and Tanahashi?
No, I haven't.
Oh, check it out on YouTube if you get the opportunity. We were talking about selling, right? And Tanahashi started working on his leg.
What's the match? I'm looking it up.
Carl Anderson versus Tanahashi. Spell Tanahashi for him, Dave. David's a literate member of our team.
Yeah, Carl Anderson, very good. Like, he has old school techniques and talent. Like, I mean, that's kind of like his basis, and he adds like a new flavor to it. Really good worker.
Yeah, we worked with them when New Japan was had the LA shows.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you know, that's you guys teach too, right?
Yeah.
But to me, the basics come first, not moonsaults or any of that craziness, right? And I make everybody learn to call a match in the ring.
Yeah.
Just, you know, which is a lost art too.
Yeah, that's what we try to do the same thing. Like, we get them ready for it, we give them, and then once they're ready, it's like they move to the next stage when they're able to call an entire match in the ring. Like, sometimes we let them call the finish in the back. But the whole match, really.
I mean, the other thing becomes so absurd. A couple of years ago, my in-laws live in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, which is just outside of Asheville. And a young man had a school in Waynesville, which is an adjoining little community. And so anyway, I ran into him at the store, and he said, Ricky Morton's going to be at my gym. Come on over. So I went over, and Ricky and I were working with the kids. And this one kid kept talking about this match he was going to have 3 weeks down the road. And Ricky finally said, how do you know what you're going to do in this match 3 weeks down the road? He said, it's in the script. I said, what? He said, it's in the script. He said, here, I'll show you. And he went to his bag. He had 3 typewritten pages, and it started, we lock up. I swear to God.
Don't want to forget that for sure.
Wow.
And well, anyway, Ricky said, somebody give me a pen. He wrote, this is, you know.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'm trying to save you guys a show here. And he signed it. He said, you want to sign? I said, absolutely. And he said, take this back to the idiot that wrote this and show it to him. But I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
I mean,
but a lot of guys do that nowadays.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah.
They do. And one thing that, and I know you will appreciate this a lot, is me and Rick talk a lot about this. My brother sometimes joins in, but he's a little bit.
When he can.
He's a laugh. But where people have things called pretty much from beginning to end, so they don't include the crowd anymore. So when somebody is, say, heel A is beating up, babyface, and all of a sudden they have a spot called. Well, all of a sudden the crowd starts chanting for the babyface, but they can't do anything because they have this spot they want to go to.
It's in the way.
The crowd is not going to keep chanting for this babyface because he's not listening to the crowd.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to give, like when we call stuff, we usually have something in the beginning and we have stuff at the end, and in the middle we just go.
Or if you and I have worked together several times to say, hey, that one spot we did in such a town, if it fits in, not we need to get it in, but if it fits in the story that we're telling. I'll tell you a quick story about that. I promoted the Pillman shows, that we did for Brian Pillman. And have you seen the Benoit Regal match from that show?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you'll see my old gray head jump up on the apron at the end because one of the kids that I trained was on that show, and he told me later, he said, I watched Regal walk over to Benoit, and he said, I knew they were going to talk about their match, so I kind of scooted over. And he said, Regal said, you're going over, what would you like to do? And Chris said, this, and this. And Regal said, okay, but can we change this to this and do it? Yeah, Chris said, yeah, that's fine. And Regal said, this spot we did a couple years ago, so if it fits, we'll throw that in. Okay. And then he said he went back and sat down. I said, and? He said, and what? I said, and with 16 matches of every conceivable type, they went out and stood 2,000 people up on their feet with wrestling.
Yeah.
And it took them a whole 2 minutes to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you were in the building, Tommy Pritchard, Ricky Steamboat, all of us that were there, I know Tommy says the same thing. When I talk about it in a training seminar, the hair on the back of my neck still stands. I mean, because Regal was out. He just wanted an excuse to touch me. Right?
Exactly. He does that often.
Hey, that's my line, right?
But you know, that's what you should be. You know, that's what we tried to get every night years ago, and that's what these kids don't understand. They should be trying to get today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They try to be. They try to predict what the fans are gonna be like by saying, "Hey, let's go out and do this, and we'll pop the crowd." But you can never predict what.
You can't tell them because they won't listen.
Right.
Can I tell another sexual reference? Well, you know,
how do you know so much sexual references?
Well, I have a long memory. I haven't had any in a long time, but
you're living off the memories, right?
Oh God, they get better as I get older.
He brings other people into it.
And
then we're all in the next one, right?
Well, it's kind of like when I read these books that said, and we sold out every night. And I said, wait a minute, I was on those cards. Where were those people hiding? But you know, I'll tell kids, like, if I do a weekend camp, we'll do a Q&A on Friday night, and I'll say, how many guys here are married or have a living girlfriend? Okay, when you go home tonight, I want you to tell your girlfriend or your wife, listen, we're going to make love. And now, when I touch you here, you moan, and then, you know, and of course, I'll see guys start to snicker and cover, you know. I said, no, it's fun. It's all right. Laugh if you like. My point is that you know these people intimately, right? Their favorite color, their favorite food, what they don't like. And you would never do what I just said. First of all, your wife or girlfriend would probably throw you out of the house anyway. But yet tomorrow night, you'll sit in a dressing room and plan a match for people you've never seen before in your life and expect them to buy it. Why?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And of course, the answer is, I don't know. I saw somebody else do it, or, you know, but it's so much, well, you guys, it's so much harder to learn to call a match and build. That's the art of our business than to sit and paint by numbers in the dressing room.
Right. I mean, me and my brother could go out there and do every move we know. We're just really going into business.
All three of them?
All four of them.
We learned a new one.
Both of them, right?
So it's just, we'd just be going into business for ourselves. We're wrestling for ourselves, not for the people who are paying to see us.
Sure.
And that's who you have to wrestle for. Because they're the ones that are going to come back the next time.
Sure, it's not impress the guys in the dressing. I'm going to do this beautiful 10,000 rotation thing. Right. Watch the guys in the dressing room are going to love it.
Yeah.
We've got like 2 minutes left, so I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Now, we've talked about, when I first came here, about people calling you who want to be wrestlers.
Yeah. Right.
What's the best advice you would give somebody out there today who says, look, I want to be a wrestler, what do I do?
Well, first of all, you get a good education to have something to fall back on.
Absolutely.
Second of all, look in the mirror. That body needs to be, this is an image business, right? So if you're not muscular and got some size, you need it. But this is hard work. The back of our Elite Pro Wrestling Training T-shirts say, if you're big star bound, let me warn you, it's a long, hard ride, from the David Allan Coe song, The Ride. And it is. It's not a walk in the park. And unless you are ready to dedicate yourself religiously and train hard and be in that ring 3 or 4 times a week in a practice ring, and then get out there and bust your hind end for almost nothing, then forget it.
Yep. They're not going to be superstars overnight. They're going to make millions of dollars.
No, you're not.
You get that call.
And if you don't love it and you don't have the passion, I'll be, my 53rd anniversary in this stupid business will be July the 4th of this year. And I still love it. I still have a passion for it. And that's why I get mad when I see it bastardized on somebody.
July 4th, 1960.
Yeah, July 4th, 1960.
Do you wish that you could still get in the ring and do a match?
I do. There's times I'll say, God, could I just be 30 again? I can show so much better than I can tell.
And what's the main reason you don't? Because I want to hear this. I need to know what I'm going up against here. Why don't you want to? I mean, why can't you?
I can, but it's just not the same anymore. Things don't work the same at 72 as they did at 22 or 32.
I think you're absolutely right.
I took a European uppercut up in Edmonton last year, and I took a big back bump. And David, among others, thought, oh, my God, he's dead. The old man's dead. I said, it's just a bump, for Christ's sake. I still get in and do a little bit, you know.
But it's harder.
But, yeah, it's just, I'm not planning on having a match. But I try to
Well, I think you and I should have a match, and we could just lock it up and take it home.
Hey, there you go. we can collapse on one another, right?
My motto is, and you might have heard this, not who wins or loses, it's who you shower with.
I'd heard you were that way, but
now you know.
All right. So, in closing, David, where can we find you guys if we want to find out all this info?
Absolutely. This Saturday, April 27th, Wrestling Care's debut show at the Alexandria Ballroom, 501 South Spring Street in downtown LA. First time independent wrestling's in downtown LA in I don't know how long. The lovely, the amazing Maria Kanellis will be there. Yeah. Tickets can be bought at WrestlingCares.com, or we got a few at the door. So
great, that's wonderful.
Yay.
Tricia?
All right. You can follow me on glowsunnygirl.com, my fan page on Facebook under Patricia Summerland, Twitter, Stage 32, and so on and so forth. Rick's Corner, here, many other places.
You want to speak for your brother? Or
yes. He's always good at doing that. You let us know where we're at.
Yeah.
I don't even know. So
next Friday we are debuting for Hood Slam. It's this kind of like wacky league that's gotten a lot of publicity up in Northern California.
Yeah. I thought that was in May.
That's not next, not that. That's not this coming week, but 2 weeks from now on Friday, May 4th, in Oakland.
And May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
Very good. Take him home.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
That's it?
That's all I'll say for now.
Okay. You can find me at rickdrasin.com, rickscorner.com, Twitter at Ric Drasin. And I'd like to thank my sponsors, Anabolic Outlaws, Quest Nutrition, World Gym, Gold's Gym, and Actors Entertainment, which I'll be on tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, actorseed.com. So I'm having a nice interview with Brenda Epperson. And thank you guys for watching. Les, thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having us on. I've had a great time.
And thank you, David, for coming.
Thank you.
And you guys as well. And don't ever come back in.
We're out.
See you all next week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.